dogs? Batgasm here once again, and today I want to kind of go over the main focus of patch 1.10 for me, which was and many others, the Uprising event. Here you'll see that you do have an awesome new intro cinematic that we're going to skip because you can play the game to see it. We've seen it multiple times now. Then of course you got your 4 heroes you can play during the story mode, which is a tank, a DPS, and a support. And that's Reinhardt, Mercy, Tracer, and Torbjorn. Now this is Tracer's first mission with Overwatch, and you're going to a really messed up London. An extremist group, Null Sector, has taken control of it. These are our first real bad guys in Overwatch. Of course, in the actual gameplay, you know, you fight each other in Reaper's Own Talon, but this is our first real group of bad guys, which is really cool. I can't say how great it is starting in that tunnel as well, because you have to hack the turrets to bring down the anti-aircraft guns, and that means, of course, there's no fly zones up here. And so that basically means that the strike team has had to go underground to get inside the city. So that's really cool. I wish we could have played that. Now here you'll see that we are having to hack the turrets. Each agent has a little drone. You don't have to use anything to use it. You don't have to press any keys, but it hacks the turrets. And this is basically Assault, which is brilliant because it's just a new way to play the Assault mode that is so familiar to us in Overwatch. You'll also notice that the computer terminals is the same kind of techie look that Sombra has, which just also establishes a feel for the universe. You know, it's not Sombra's tech, but what she uses to hack is similar in color palette and design, and that's really cool. You basically are just taking out Null Troopers, which is your first introduction to mobs, and they're just grunt mobs. You know, you can take them out easily. They do damage if you let them get, you know, in numbers. They do damage in numbers, but you can take them out pretty easily. Then, of course, after you complete the objective of hacking the terminal, you make your way to the courtyard. And see, I really love that they call out these spots on the maps too, because you just don't hear people on Quick Play Competitive say courtyard a lot. Then you're, of course, introduced to your first elite mob, which is a Eradicator. They have shields and cannons and whatnot, and they take a while to kill. There's multiple elite mobs in here, which really just cements the PvE feel. I love that about here. One thing I do wish is that you don't get to see the big anti-aircraft guns a lot. You're hacking the terminals to take them down, but you don't ever actually get to utilize it right there. You don't actually get to utilize them a lot. I kind of wish that when you first turn that corner, that the game would freeze like Giant's Revenge. If you remember, a new boss mob would show up, it would freeze and introduce it in a glorious fashion. I wish that did that with the air guns. That way it just really established their presence in the map and what you're trying to do. You're trying to take them down. It should have froze, went up to the anti-aircraft gun, and maybe shot something out of the sky. You know, really show the danger of those guns. And of course, all you gotta do is hack this terminal, but you do gotta be a little bit more careful because the second phase of this point, you'll be being attacked from all sides. So you probably want to have your Torb set up right in the middle there, and just really be watching all sides around you. You can fail it, which I love. I love how hard the game mode actually is. It's a little repetitive, but it's fun repetitive. And it actually is an accomplishment. It feels like you accomplished something when you complete it. Inside the cathedral, you'll hack your third objective. Be careful for this left door here. I've found a lot of people have just forget about it, and we haven't really failed on it, but it does get kind of hairy up in that part of the map. And a prime example of what I was talking about just a moment ago is right here. I don't even know where the anti-aircraft gun is that we're taking down right here. In fact, actually, I think I do. I think it's up at the top where you know, you normally get your Widow set up when you're on this map in Quick Player Competitive. Yeah, there it is. You know, so just a quick, maybe even right when you turn the corner from the first objective, having it kind of just the camera go around the map showing you where each of these turrets are. I think that would be a really good idea for future PvE events. Junkenstein's Revenge was really flashy when it came to those mob bosses. You would have people trying to get behind them to get the shots and stuff, and that was really cool. After the third objective, you'll have taken down all the anti-aircraft guns, and Overwatch, Morrison and Amari are going to drop a payload by Big Ben, which is, of course, where you do the payload on the normal map. And this is what I love. Like I said, it incorporates all the familiar parts of Overwatch. You got your assault, you got your control coming up here with the payload. Before you actually escort it, you have to hold the point, which is pretty much control. And then, of course, you'll get to escort the payload. So it has, we've played this before. We've played these objectives before. They're just different. And they're fun, they're PvE. But here you'll be facing a multitude of new bosses. You'll have your null troopers, you'll have your eradicators. We're introduced to the splicers right here, which are little bastards, little rats. You can just knock the shit out of them. Then you're going to be introduced to your first detonators. Now, detonators don't do any damage, but they're a bastard to take out, and if they get to the payload, they will explode. So what I've learned after this is that we really shouldn't have been focusing on detonator too much. I could have saved your charge as Reinhardt, and then when it got close, just time it, and so right before it explodes, just push it away. I would focus on all the ads first, because you have those eradicators, and you have those troopers and splicers, now not just attacking you, but the payload. And if everybody's focusing on that, you're just allowing the horde to grow larger and whatnot. So I would, there you go. See, I would wait for it to get to that point and then charge it away, and in the meantime be focusing on the ads. And you're going to be introduced to Bastion, the B-57 model, I believe, of Bastion. So old school Bastion, where he was bad Bastion. And to me, Bastion is what makes you lose the game. Luckily, it doesn't seem to eat through the shield as much as it does in quick player competitive. So it does give you a good strategy to shield up while the others focus on Bastion. I think it would be cool to have radically different play modes. Like I said, you're getting to play that familiar Overwatch with the capture, with the assault, the control, and the escort. But it would also be cool to maybe throw some captured flag in there, but instead of a flag, it was a key to open a door, you know, or something like that. Maybe, like I say, like right here, you couldn't actually get the payload open without bringing an item from one side of the map over to this part of the map. It would be captured a flag still, but it would be utilized in a different way. I also wish, you know, while Horde mode is so great, don't get me wrong, you know, maybe if in the future if we do other PvE events with like raids and big maps designed for it, you can have some non-Horde mode mobs. You know, I think it'd be really cool to have mobs that just kind of roam around the corner in that spot, and they won't mess with you until you aggro them, of course. So you actually have to have your team placed up outside, strategizing on who to take down first and whatnot, just like a classic MMO dungeon. After you successfully take control of the payload, you'll start to escort it throughout the map. And this part isn't so hard. It's basically the same mobs you've been facing, just in different orders. You're going to actually now have some ulting bastions. And I think they should be your top priority, because not only, for me anyways, it kind of blinds my view. They do a lot of damage, and they're kind of a bastard to take out. So be mindful of your roaming ulting bastions. You're going to have the same mob spawn in the same area at the same time on each difficulty of the mode. So when you get around this corner here, you'll have a detonator that would spawn behind you, and then up here you got some ulting bastions. Just time it right, use your ults right, and you should be okay. This is about 7 years in the past. Overwatch was not allowed to go in. The Prime Minister of London didn't want Overwatch there, and if you read the comic Uprising, you'll realize that Jack Morrison had to make a really tough call whether to send a team in or not. Of course, Tracer is her first mission, and she's from London, so she knows the area, which I think is really cool to have her. It all just fits very well. And you'll see that London is, King's Row is really messed up. You know, we got the null sector signs graffitied on the door. I wonder what they used to write that with. I bet it was maybe like a splicer beam. But I'll tell you right now that this PvE stuff is really working for a lot of people. I would love to have a null sector shirt. So you push the payload up to the power plant, which is of course the final point on the normal maps for quick play and competitive, and it will explode, and you've gotten inside the power plant that null sector has controlled. And this is really cool because this introduces you to your boss battles of the game. You got your mobs, you got your elite mobs, now you got your bosses, which are the OR-14 NS, which is Orisa's previous model she was based off of. I think Orisa was based off the OR-15s. But what's funny is that, as someone else pointed out on Reddit, is that each of these OR-14s have Risa's abilities, so it kind of makes Eefy kind of a copycat. You'll want to be aware that right on that top right ledge, you'll have a Bastion. A lot of people miss that Bastion because he's covered by a bunch of junk, but if you start turning that corner without taking care of him, he'll eat your team alive. Now, you just got to kill 4 of these OR-14s, but they are surrounded by various other mobs. But honestly, to me, it's not the most difficult part of the map. The most difficult part of the map is protecting the payload on hard mode and getting around that corner without either your whole team wiping or not losing the payload. I do kind of wish that we fought a larger mob than just 4 Orisas. While it was extremely fun and it went with the rest of the map very well, I'm extremely satisfied. It leaves you with a full feeling at the end of it. I wish that we had a big Null Sector boss, like a big robot, the leader of Null Sector, but maybe they'll be coming back, so who knows. But it would be nice to have something that the whole team had to do damage on or heal, like no other mobs, just one giant Omnic, you know, that you had to take down that had a string of multiple abilities and stuff like that. I think that would have made it feel a little bit more cinematic and a little bit more of a climax and a little bit more satisfying. You know, we would have really felt like superheroes, you know? So you take down all 4 of the OR-14 NS here at the end of the power plant and you complete the mode, you win the game. Now, I also really wish that since Null Sector kidnapped Mare and kidnapped Mondada, who we all know from the Alive short, I wish they would have been there in the background, because it just kind of abruptly ends. So it would be really cool if there was a little cutscene, kind of like how it started with a cutscene at the end of just Mondada and the Mare, Mondada and the Mare like shaking your hands or something like that, you know, saying, "Good job, agents. We know this is going to cause a lot of controversy coming in here, but you saved a lot of lives and you should be proud of yourself." Just something like that, instead of, you know, the last swing and then victory. But other than that, those are about the only changes I would make to it. I think it's one of the best things to ever come out in Overwatch so far, and I can't wait for more. I can't wait for more, and I think all of you probably would agree with me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the main part of patch 1.10. There's been a lot of other big changes though, Lucio, and maybe we'll talk about that in a future video. But until then, see you next time. Oh, let's open a loot box, actually. Intro cut. What did we get? Oh yeah, lame, super lame. We did get a new player icon, and all I want is that Null Sector icon. I want that player icon.